Welcome back, Breadstick Fanatic. So this is a Denniswick 1XL, which is pretty much my main C2 mouthpiece. I'm working on a video right now. We're working on editing a video, but it's going to be a tour of all my mouthpieces. So I've got a decent number. There's always somebody who has more, but I thought it would be nice to do a little tour. So I've got all my small shank mouthpieces ordered in size from 12 all the way to 5. And then all my large tenor bass and euphonium mouthpieces, somewhat arranged. This one's a little bit more full, so I can't have as much freedom with arranging it the way I'd like. And then my smallish tuba collection, minus the one that's in my instrument right now. So, and these really heavy-duty trays or mount stand things that were a gift, which are really, really sweet. And I'm going to get rid of this stand. I had this stand here, so I had the tuba in the video, but it's not actually helpful. It's mostly just in the way. And then my second mouthpiece that I use with this instrument is a 2XL. And both of them are the classic series, and both of them are silver. So you basically can't tell them apart when I'm playing them. But you can pretty well assume that I'm always playing the 1XL. That's what my go-to mouthpiece for this instrument is. This one's kind of nice for some things. It's just slightly smaller, but sometimes that's kind of nice. I have to think about that expert on C tuba. But if I were to play something that I want to play on my F tuba, but I didn't have my F tuba or something like that, the 2XL is what I'd use. The Helleberg's great. People say bad things about the Helleberg. I played a Helleberg for a long time, and I played a mouthpiece really similar to a Helleberg for even longer. And that's the Schilke 67, which is pretty Helleberg-like. I talk about it in the video that I'm going to post probably tomorrow, assuming I'm done editing it. But this Schilke 67, I played from middle school to grad school. So you don't always need to get a new mouthpiece every 2 seconds. although it's a little bit fun, I'll admit. Yeah, I like the 2XL, but for some things it just doesn't replace my 1XL for me. Thanks. Let's see. I forgot how I organized. I reorganized this one. It's hard because some of the mouthpieces look identical. Let's see, 5BL. Right, exactly where I wanted it. Loving these streams, same. Glad you guys are liking them. Still trying to figure out if I'm going to have a regular time or not. It seems like most of the regulars aren't really here right now, so I wonder if this is a bad time comparatively. Maybe it's just too early. Most of my streams are a little bit later. It's so difficult to know what time is going to be best because people could be anywhere. Although, again, I assume that most people are pretty close to me just based off of the content that I put out, and I'm sure there's some algorithmic thing to that too. Let's see here. You think later streams would work best? Yeah, that's probably true. I just had the itch, so. It's 6. Yeah, you're in the same time zone, Logan. Central time. I guess that's a little bit of an assumption because not everyone does daylight savings, and since we just had it, there could be some discrepancy. But most likely you're in Central Standard Time as well. Seven, so Eastern Time. How's it going, Gordon? You want some scales? How's it going, Lewis? Logan? Do you think it's better to use the same rim style across tubas, or is it okay to have a flat rim on one tube and a rounded rim on the other? I think it's personal preference. Some people really don't like switching rims. That's kind of one of the bigger reasons why I play all Dennis Wick, because it's not necessarily that I feel like I couldn't play different rims. I just really like the rim of Dennis Wick mouthpieces. So it just, to me, it's not the flattest thing, but it's pretty flat. And just rounded rims for me never, I could play them okay, but it just always felt wrong. I never liked having that feeling of it just feeling like this is not what I want. But hope you're doing all right, Parker. Ontario, Canada. Most of us are on standard time. Yeah, most of the United States is too. There just are a few exceptions. Beautiful sound on the trombone when you're playing your scales. Thank you. Play something else on the trombone. So just trying to pull up a method book or something. Let's do this A-tune. Essential Elements. Yeah, Essential Elements is a good one. I always forget to look ahead in that etude when I'm choosing a tempo. Beautiful, thanks. Thanks, Breadstick Fanatic. Yeah, pro tip, always look at the whole etude before choosing a tempo. I should play Among Us. I've thought about it. I've got a couple of friends that have done some Twitch streams of playing Among Us, and it seems kind of interesting. Totes my goats. There you go. You got it this time. Let's see here. You can do the Among Us sound effects. What's my favorite instrument? I'm going to go out in left field here and say my favorite instrument is bass clarinet. I just can't play it. That's the only issue. Other than that, it's perfect. But when they asked me what instrument I wanted to choose in band, I said bass clarinet. And when they said I had to play the soprano clarinet first, I said I didn't want to do that. What made me want to play brass? I think I was just really into big instruments. That was a big part of it. So I wanted, once bass clarinet didn't pan out, I wanted to play tuba, and they were like, no, but you can play euphonium for or baritone for a couple of years, and then you can switch to tuba. And I kind of begrudgingly was like, okay, if that's what it has to be. What would you deem a good reason for switching mouthpieces? I've been playing on the same Grego 4.5 for many years and have never thought about switching, but a lot of my colleagues switch often. That's a good question, Tyler. If you don't feel like you should switch, I probably wouldn't switch. I think in general, people switch more often than it's helpful to them. I think that's really can make things more difficult. I think people think that I switch mouthpieces all the time, but I really play the same mouthpieces for many years. Like if I'm talking about tenor trombone, I can go through the tenor trombone mouthpieces that I've played over the years. I'm not exactly sure the timeline of all of these, but my first large bore tenor mouthpiece was this Dennis Wick 6BL. I'm making a video right now. I've just got to finish editing it, but in that video, I go through the entire mouthpiece collection that I have, and I this I was supposed to get the same mouthpiece that everyone in my high school had, and they all had 5 BLs. So I got this 6 BL because I got confused. So I have this 6 BL, and I played it for a while. But I think I was always wanting to play a 5. I thought this is what everybody had because I saw the picture and I was like, oh, that's the one. So I played this Dennis Wick 6 BL for a couple of years, maybe a year or two, and then I played this Grego 5 when I got my Lessie. This was the mouthpiece that they kind of paired me with and convinced me to buy. And it was a good mouthpiece for a while. And then when I went to college, it was kind of the sort of thing where my professor wanted me off this mouthpiece, and I didn't necessarily agree, but I did it anyway, and it was probably the right thing. So then my next main mouthpiece, and probably one of the longest ones for me, was the Lasky 57MD, and I still play this on occasion. I really love the sound that it gets. I can't seem to figure out how to play in the low range quite as well as my main mouthpiece. So I played this for maybe 6 years, something like that. I'm not sure. And then at some point, I can't even remember exactly when I switched to this, but at some point after that, I switched to this Dennis Wick 5 BL, and that's been my main mouthpiece for probably 5 years, 6 years. I'm not exactly sure. Timeline's all fuzzy, but I didn't switch mouthpieces every year or every 2 years even. A lot of times it was more like 3 or 4 years. And I think that if you feel good about your mouthpiece choice, and I don't know exactly what stage of your career you're in. If you have a teacher that says, I don't know if that Grego 4.5 is right for you, maybe try something different. So that's kind of an option to just try different things. But even trying things doesn't mean you have to, switch everything. So your teacher plays a Grego 4.5 also. Knowing how most people teach, if you play the same mouthpiece as them, they're probably not going to look for that to be the issue. Because in most of our heads as teachers, it's like, well, that mouthpiece works for me, like it should work for you, which is not always true. But that's sort of a thing that can exist. So maybe try other things if you feel like you need to. I don't switch mouthpieces just because there's a problem, but if I'm working really hard to get something better for a year and it's not getting as much better as I want, and I'm really diligent about it, that's the key word. But yeah, I might try something else. But it sounds like you're doing well with what you have. Logan's taking an English test. Good luck. You're gonna do great. 2 mouthpieces. I can do that. So I have 5 tube mouthpieces. Used to have a few more. I always regret selling mouthpieces. I don't think I'll ever do it again. Every once in a while I think about it because I have all these mouthpieces, and it's kind of silly because you can only play one at a time, and some of them I've almost never even played as a regular mouthpiece, but I just hate selling them because then I don't have them, which sounds like a true hoarder. But anyway, so my tuba mouthpieces. My main big tube mouthpiece, I would say my main mouthpiece, if I had to choose just one, is the 1XL. That's what I play my C tuba pretty much all the time. 1XL. The 2XL is kind of my secondary B flat or C tuba mouthpiece. I like it on B flats because it's a little bit smaller and it kind of tames the instrument. And I use it on C when I'm maybe trying to pretend that my C isn't as big as it is. And then a Schilke 67, which I played. Going back to Tyler, I know you're a trombone player, but I played a Schilke 67. I guess I'm assuming you're a trombone player. You could be a euphonium player. I played a Schilke 67 from middle school to grad school. So that probably is even a more extreme example, Tyler, that I don't switch around all that often. And then for my F tuba personally has a different size receiver that's really uncommon and isn't something that most people need to worry about, but I can't use the same mouthpieces. So I have different ones. I have the mouthpiece that came with it, which is a Bruno Tills M9, and then I have a Dennis Wick 2. But again, if you want the same mouthpiece, get a 2L. That's almost certainly what's going to fit in your instrument. Let's see. You made it, Brady. How do you get better at sight reading? A lot of getting better at sight reading is doing it. I know that's a simple answer, but you're not going to get better at sight reading by just wanting to get better at sight reading and playing the same things all the time. I used to do exercises with just rhythm. I think rhythm is part of it. And you have to get your sight singing together and be able to hear these pitches in your head. Even if you know the slide positions, but if you don't hear those pitches, it's not going to work, or valves, even if that's right, if you don't hear those notes, it's not going to work. So let's see. Hello, Mr. Anonymous. What mouthpiece would I recommend for sousaphone? For sousaphone, for me, what I use is the 2XL. But again, I don't play sousaphone a ton. I actually don't own a sousaphone. I kind of just borrow a sousaphone when I kind of need to play one for a gig. But I always use this 2XL, and that works pretty well. Even though the 2XL isn't really like a shallow mouthpiece, it's a shallower than my C2 mouthpiece, and that's kind of I feel it gives me a little more pop on the sousaphone, which is kind of nice. Your favorite YouTuber? Awesome. Let's see. What are some tips on building range on tuba? And yes, I do think that Brady was here before you, Breadstick Fanatic. So building range on tuba, it's pretty similar for most things, most brass instruments. A lot of it is doing it and being really patient with it, but working on it consistently. So I play a lot of scales. A range for high range that I might do is just playing my major scales going up in half steps. And so on and so forth. Those are the sort of things that I kind of try to work on. A lot of it's just doing exercises that get you up there and working on it being easier. I'm always thinking about expanding my middle range. So I know this might be a weird question, unrelated mouthpieces. I just put that there. It doesn't have to be mouthpieces. But do you know how a hand-hammered, handmade bottom bow on a tuba is made? Not exactly, no. But my F tuba is hand hammered. So one thing I will say about hand hammered instruments is generally it's going to be thinner, which is kind of how we get that response. So I like hand hammered instruments, but you definitely pay a premium for it. So I've got an 80, but 80's passing, so that's good. Tuba man needs to get on. Yeah, he does. Let's see here. Yeah, the questions don't have to be specifically just mouthpieces, but how much does the shaft hole being bent a little affect the sound? It's definitely not ideal, but if it's just a little bit damaged, it's maybe not the end of the world. But I mean, you think about it, if you make that opening smaller, you're not able to get the amount of air that you want through it. So what I would do is try to get it fixed. And it's in my storage area because fortunately I don't drop my mouthpieces very often. But I have a pruning tool, which is kind of it's a tool that is conical, so it's getting bigger, and you push that through the shank of the mouthpiece and you hit it with a rawhide mallet. So I've had to, I've dropped mouthpiece before, I've had to fix it, but I would just try to get it fixed. That's the first thing. So unrelated question, what is the best cereal? I don't really eat cereal anymore. As a kid though, I really liked Frosted Flakes and Fruit Loops. Those probably were my main, and Captain Crunch. That was another good one, like the peanut butter Captain Crunch. What mouthpiece do you use when you're cranking on sousaphone? Yeah, I talked about the mouthpiece for sousaphone. It's a 2XL. I don't know that if I don't know if I'm cranking on sousaphone very often. keep it relatively tame. Not everybody wants that all the time. Believe it or not, I don't have many gigs that are playing with a high school marching band where cranking is the culture. So usually when I'm playing sousaphone, it's more like Dixieland or something like that. So cranking isn't totally what's necessary, but there are some things in there sometimes. Let's see. What's the tool called? It's called a truening tool. So like TRUEEN, or no, TRUENING. Truening, truening tool. They're not super expensive. If you go to, if you go to Amazon, they should be there. And I actually have like a little, I think it's called an Amazon storefront, but it has all of that in there. See if I can find. I think if you just search Amazon storefront Zach Marley, which I probably should change it to low brass U. Let's see. That it's harder to find than I thought. But anyway, yeah, you can find it on Amazon. You don't have to go through my storefront to get it, but a tuning tool, you can get it from Woodwind Brass Wind, a lot of places. Where can you buy snakes for tuba? There aren't really too many of those. I actually don't own one. I get my instruments professionally cleaned. I get them like ultrasonically cleaned. So that's kind of what I do. Yeah, I am still working on low brass U. There probably won't be all state helpful things at this point. It's a little too late for that. But yeah, I'm definitely working on it. I'm kind of thinking, I kind of rethought the launch, and I think what I'll end up doing is launching it with some excerpts. Yeah, that's definitely not the intended purpose of a tuba mouthpiece. But yeah, I'll definitely work on the website. I'm working on putting some content together. Got a lot of plans right now to try to figure out some stuff with all of that. But yeah, hopefully I want it to be a bunch of nice resources, and I think it'll be cool once it's all said and done. I can't put a hard deadline on it. How do I support my financial needs? I mean, my primary income is gigging. I also teach. I teach lessons at a university. I also teach some middle school and high school lessons as well, and some Zoom lessons and things like that. But yeah, primarily I play gigs. I'm a freelance musician. Those are, during the pandemic, it's not the best of times for that, but still have some gigs. November's a good month. For better or for worse, people are having get-togethers that they're having music for. But I can't really say no to it right now. So, but yeah, I mean, that's what I do. Some other diverse things. My Amazon links, on my YouTube channel has given me almost $20 now over the course of a year and a half. So that's basically, a tank of gas. What's my favorite? If I wrote a piece, would you play it? Yeah, I think if I wrote a piece, one of the reasons why I'd write it is because I would want to play it. And I'd also probably want others to play it, which the best way to do that is, is to play it and let people hear it. So yeah, I definitely would play it. Oh, if you wrote me a piece, I see. Sorry. Yeah, maybe. I guess. Sorry, I totally misread that. Let's see here. Thinking about a solo to play. What key signature? Let's do G flat, sure. Favorite composer? I really like Brahms. My biggest complaint about Brahms is that He didn't write a ton for the tuba in his orchestral works, but there are workarounds to that. Oh, I know one that maybe some people know. Oh, I don't have it on here. No, it's on my iPad, but it's too bad. Find something else. Where do you compare yourself to the best players in the world? It's a good question, I guess. In general, I don't really try to compare myself. I just I see, for a lot of what I do, I try to figure out what someone does better than me and then try to learn from that. That's kind of my main focus. So I don't know that, I have this ultimate ranking system or something like that. There are definitely people there's always someone better, and at least there's always someone better at something. It's not always perfectly like this person's the best, this person's the second best. Music is very flexible in that way. But I'll listen to someone and be like, wow, that soft playing is beautiful. I wish I could do that. And then I try to go learn that, or something along those lines. So if I was just unanimously the best player in the world, I probably would have a pretty high profile position at this point. So we'll put it that way. Oystein Bodsvik is definitely one of the best players in the world. I love his playing. Always have. His 20th Century Tuba Concertos album is probably my favorite tuba album. Yep, I remember when his Vivaldi Winter, when that YouTube video came out a long time ago in the early stages of YouTube. It's great. I haven't seen that in a long time though, like maybe a decade. Let's see here. We do some Brahms. What school did I go to? For what level? What high school did I go to? If I were the best player in the world, I probably wouldn't miss that high A. Let's see here. Both schools. So I went to high school at the Youth Performing Arts High School, and as a part of DuPont Manual High School in Louisville, Kentucky. And then I did my undergraduate degree at the University of North Texas. I did my master's degree at Northwestern University outside of Chicago. And I'm almost done with my doctorate also at the University of North Texas. So hopefully that answers your question. Swap tubas here. Yep, I'm mostly through the doctorate. If all goes according to my plan, I'll be done in May. If it doesn't go according to my plan, it might be the end of the summer. If it really doesn't go my way, maybe December of 21. But there's just a lot of steps that have to be followed in succession, and so I'm not exactly sure when I'll graduate, but hopefully May. How many countless hours did you spend to get where you at right now? Oh, I mean, I spent a lot of hours practicing over the years. I was a person who practiced a lot, even in high school, and then definitely in college. I couldn't even begin to tell you. I really have no idea. Let's see. Can I do multiphonics? Yes. I definitely wouldn't say that I'm a master at multiphonics, or especially when someone asks, like, where do you think of yourself as the best player in the world? Definitely not on the top of the list for multiphonics, but I can do it, and I can do it when necessary. With some notes. I can't circular breathe. I tried once or twice to learn. Essentially, the way you circular breathe, as I understand it, as someone who can't do it, is you keep the air in your cheeks, and while you're inhaling, use the muscles in your cheeks to push that air out, so that air is not really being pushed by your lungs, but it's still under some level of force. But yeah, I can't do it, or haven't yet figured out. I probably won't ever learn how to circular breathe. It could help in a couple of ways, but to me, it's not really necessary. Thoughts on the Dennis Wick Heritage 5ABL for trombone? I don't know that one super well. I know that I tried it at one point. I don't have one, but I definitely tried it, and I didn't get it. So it probably wasn't what worked for me. And that's one of those weird ones where I don't really even understand what having the A and B together necessarily means. And some of that's a little bit fuzzy with Dennis Wick. So if it works for you, that's great. It's definitely not a mouthpiece that I would say is a bad choice. It's just not. When I tried it the one time, it wasn't the choice for me. So that's really all I can tell you. I'm going to try to find another solo to play. That's a good mouthpiece or tenor saxophone. A C star. Well, it depends on what you're doing. Might want a Jody Jazz mouthpiece, or something of that neighborhood. But I'm definitely more partial to hard rubber mouthpieces instead of metal mouthpieces. Not everything needs to be S&L saxophone. Ever tried an Alan Bear mouthpiece? Yeah, I used to have his F mouthpiece, but I don't have it anymore. It wouldn't do me any good with this tuba because it doesn't fit. But that was my main F mouthpiece before I got this tuba, and I liked it. Yeah, those stainless steel mouthpieces are interesting. Have I played the John Williams tuba concerto? I have. I think you might even be able to find some video evidence of that. It's probably not on YouTube, but I did the John Williams in the Falcone tuba competition. I can't even tell you which year that was because I did it a few different times. I want to say that was the last time. I can't remember though, but I can play a little bit. Yeah, I used to read like woodwind, brasswind catalogs for no reason, but Also, my dad did play saxophone, and I had a lot of saxophone friends, so that kind of helps with that. But yeah, if I have an answer, I'll give it. It may not be the right answer, but I'll play a little of the John Williams, and I'll get to a couple of the other things. Probably not my cleanest 16th notes in the world, but is that really why you come into these live streams, is to hear perfection? Let's see. Snedeker's second book is Snedeker's second book more difficult or a sequel? I guess maybe it's a little bit more difficult, but it's also about having duets in there also. So yeah, I mean, if you can play out of the first one, it's probably not just, you can probably also play out of the second one. Top tuba mouthpieces. I mean, it's hard to not just say the mouthpieces that work for me, but I really like the Dennis Wick 2 size, and that's what I'm playing on F tuba right now, and I have that 2XL also for C tuba. I prefer the 1XL on my C tuba, but I mean, the mouthpieces is so personal. There are mouthpieces that don't work for certain things, but for the most part, it's just, it's just what works for you. Let's see. It's funny how something that takes you seconds takes me hours. What do you mean? You're talking about me playing the John Williams? Is that what you're saying? If that's what you mean, believe me, I put in a lot of time on the John Williams. That's a piece that I've been working on for years. I've only performed it a couple of times, and it's been a long time. It's been multiple years since I've last, performed it. But believe me, I definitely have put in a lot of time on the John Williams. And not all of that transfers. If I don't play a piece for 3 years, I'm not saying I'll play it just as well as I did the last time, but a lot of the things can kind of line up. Wonder how well I remember some of the third movement. Actually, let's go to the second movement. I took my tuba mutes out of my office, otherwise I'd play it with the mute. Yeah, what I was just playing was the John Williams, so I think we're on the same page. Yeah, I just played the John Williams. Yeah, I mean, I can't just sight read the John Williams. I'm sure that there's someone who can, that's smarter than me and better than me. But yeah, I can sing. I'm not the world's greatest singer, but I definitely sing as a practice technique. So like I'm about to play the second movement of the Vaughan Williams. Da 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 da. So, being able to sing something like that is really, really helpful. Now I'll play it, and being able to sing it pretty well. I mean, that wasn't perfect, but a lot of it was pretty good, and the instrument will maybe help me out just a little bit. Yeah, if you can sing, you can play it. Yeah, that's definitely a big part of it, and especially the hearing these pitches in my head. I legitimately haven't thought about this movement especially, or played this movement, listened to this movement in probably like 3 years at this point. But I practiced it really, really hard when I did, and so those pitches still, kind of stay with me. Let's see. I'm sorry for what seems to be going on over there. Where can you buy this concerto? Well, let's see. Let's see what Google can tell us. You can buy it on Amazon for $12.99, and you can get it with Amazon Prime. So it looks like, for me, I could have it here by Thursday. What music do you listen to? I listen to a lot of different things. Not all of it's tuba or brass related. I listen to a lot of jazz. That's a big part of it. I listen to a lot of orchestral stuff. But it's not exclusively those things. There's other things that I listen to too. I like pop music from time to time. Certain pop music I really like. So I like music that I find interesting. That's I know that's kind of a simple answer, but yeah, that's kind of, if it piques my interest, I'll listen to it. But yeah, with the John Williams, you could also get it at Sheet Music Plus. It's another place. Just looking at Google, there are tons of places. So let's see. Maybe I'll do a little bit of the third movement. Let's see how well I remember that. So I guess the answer is that I remember some of it. I think it's also important to remember that what I'm doing right now is not really practicing. So this is not how I practice at all. If I were learning this piece or relearning this piece, I would take these things slowly down the octave to really, really process them. This is a little bit more for fun, probably not the most effective use of time. Let's see. Do a little Effie suite. I forgot about this piece. Is the doctorate the most difficult thing I've done? I mean, it's not easy. But you also are conditioned to it by that point. I've been a college student for a lot of my life. You get used to, you get used to doing the things you have to do. Writing a long paper is just writing another long paper. If you've done it once, you can probably do it again. And you get better at a lot of things as far as that's concerned. You know what resources to use and things like that. But yeah, it's definitely not easy. I'll let you know when I'm finished. How about that? Ask me again in hopefully 6 months. You missed everything, Logan. You missed absolutely everything. There's no going back. There's no way that you can possibly scroll back and see something else. What tuba do I usually use? I have two tubas. I use them for different things. This one is my B&S Symphony. It's an F tuba. It's what I use for pretty much, for me, most of my solo playing. I prefer this for a lot of things. And I use it for some orchestral pieces, but most of the time it's the other tuba, which is a C tuba, which is the Mel Culbertson Neptune made by VMI. And maybe that's my main tuba. I use the tuba that I need to use for the task that I'm doing. It's just like a craftsman or something. You're asking them, what's your favorite hammer? And it's like, well, when you need a sledgehammer, you need a sledgehammer. When you need a normal size hammer, you need a normal size hammer. Those don't do the same jobs. Maybe you can do the same things with them. And maybe for tubas, it's not quite that extreme. But that's a little bit of how I think about it. I try to use the instrument that makes sense. So here's a little bit of Effie Suite. This is Effie Joins the Carnival. And if you don't know, Effie is an elephant. So that was some of the right notes for Effie Joins the Carnival. Let's see, play the Seinfeld theme for the boys. I don't really know it, but I watched the show, but I've never played it before. I'm sure I can learn it. Let's see. I've seen... Oh, a TR. Yes, that means a trill, which is just a fast alternation between two different notes. So in this piece, there were two trills. The first one was on a C, and the C, when you see a C, you trill to a C. It's a C and a D. You trill between those two notes, and there's tons of different conventions of different time periods and things of how you do it exactly. But essentially, you're alternating between C and D. Certain time periods you'd start on D, certain time periods you start on C, but probably a little bit more than we need to go into with it. But yeah, it's just going back and forth between each note. So has going to a performing arts school helped you? Yeah, I think so. There are always good programs that aren't performing arts schools, and I don't think that I would, or I think that I would still be doing what I'm doing now had I not been at a performing arts school, but it helped focus me earlier, probably. And, my school was really good about being for the students, especially compared to a lot of the schools that I've taught at and around this area. It's a lot more about getting good ratings than learning sometimes, I think. And I think that that's what helped me grow, was that we played a lot of music, a lot of really hard music. And did we nail everything that we ever played? Not necessarily. But because I was being thrown really difficult music all the time, it just became normal. And we played more music more frequently than I did in college ever at my high school. So yeah, I think so. And it was nice too. My high school had lots of different classes that you could take. By the time I was a senior, half of my classes were music. So I was in AP Music Theory, which is relatively common with schools that have strong music programs. But I was also taking jazz improvisation for the second time at my high school. And then what else? Then two band classes, like traditional, wind ensemble and a symphonic band. So a lot of that was really good for me. And we also had full orchestra. We had, musicals that we did. So a lot of that was helpful. Not saying that it's completely unique to that school, but I definitely don't regret it if that's what you're asking. Hello, Logan. Are you still wanting me to play the Seinfeld theme? I guess is that what those hands are for? You meant Trill. I think we covered all that. The football game just got canceled. Yep, those are the times we're in. Let's see. Do another thing from Effie Suite. We'll do Effie Falls in Love. I definitely don't remember that one quite as well. Is that a peace sign? I think it's a peace sign from here. Breadstick Fanatic. It's a little bit far away for me to see what that is. Sounds as beautiful as a serenade of 1,000 moonlights. Thank you. Yeah, the Effie Suite. That's a fun one. I played that on my sophomore recital of college. I don't think I've played it since. Let's see. I'm trying to find some other solos that I haven't played on a live stream before that I also think I can do a pretty good job of without having looked at them in a while. Let's see here. Thousand and One. Here's one. Let's see. That's not what I want. Oh, here's a fun one that I totally forgot about till just now. trying to remember what recital was this on that I played it last. I think this was on my senior recital. If I remember correctly. How's it going, Mr. Beans? Let's see here. For some reason, I don't think that's Tuba Man, but I could be wrong. Do I like Adam Sandler? I guess. I don't know. Don't have a strong opinion. Let's see. Play a little bit of the Plow Concerto. I think different districts have different TMEA dates, but I'm not 100% sure of that. Let's see here. Where's the vest? It's not cold enough to wear the vest right now. I'll break out the vest again, but It's got to cool down a little bit. Don't worry, the vest is alive. Halloween themed vest. Yeah, the Han Solo vest. Is it safe though? It is safe. I promise. Yeah, I don't really know what you guys are talking about. But I'll play that E minor etude. Just give me a second. There it is. You think you get a dab this time? No. See you, Logan. Everybody wants me to play Among Us. Giddings mouthpieces. The only mouthpiece I've played by that I had by Giddings was the Allen Bear that I no longer have. It was a good mouthpiece. I definitely think that stainless steel mouthpieces are different than brass, but different than brass doesn't make them a bad thing. Among Us live stream tomorrow for election day. Yeah, probably not. That would require me to buy Among Us. Yes, please sub and click the bell. There probably won't be consequences, though. Blessing 6.5 for euphonium. It's probably a fine mouthpiece to start out on. I actually play a much bigger mouthpiece, and then I play a 3 on euphonium. But yeah, I mean it'll work. In general, I don't like playing 6s on euphonium. I just think it's a little bit too small for me. But there are people who do it and sound great. Can't live played on phone. Can't live stream it. What do I live stream on? I'm live streaming on a PlayStation 2 right now. I just have a camera plugged into PlayStation 2 via USB, and that's what we're live streaming on. Now, I'm live streaming on my computer. I do have the technology. I think I'm probably going to hop off here soon if there are any more questions. Got some video editing to do tonight for a video on the channel, probably tomorrow, if all goes according to plan. I'm going to go through the video. I've already filmed it. I just need to finish editing it, which takes a lot more time than you might think. But I go through all of my mouthpieces, and these are not all of them. These are the small shank trombone and euphonium mouthpieces. Got 2 more trays of other mouthpieces. Not that big, but so got a few mouthpieces to show. How do I get better at pedal notes? A lot of relaxed practice, going where you feel comfortable all the way down to where you're not comfortable. How is the Tuba Bach Megatone 18? I don't think I've tried that mouthpiece specifically. I used to play a Bach 18. That was my first tuba mouthpiece, actually. I have no idea where that mouthpiece went. I must have lost it when I was in middle school or something. Couldn't even begin to tell you where that mouthpiece is. But yeah, I'm sure it's fine. From what I remember, the 18 isn't huge, but I'm not super familiar with Bach tuba mouthpiece numbers. It's just been a while. Greg Black mouthpieces are great. Sometimes hard to get and not the cheapest thing in the world, but those are the biggest negatives. Other than that, a lot of orchestral players really like them. I thought about getting some before. It just never happened. They don't necessarily, I don't need one of those mouthpieces. I don't play trombone in an orchestra every second of every day. I would like to have one, but I probably would still use the Denniswick that I have. I've ever had the chance to play a loud mouthpiece a long time ago. I don't really remember much about them. I've never owned one. I don't really know too many people who've had them, but I know that they exist. I don't know what that song is. But sorry. Am I supposed to know what that song is? Very helpful. Tuning and tone go hand in hand. I think that's a big part of it. Oh, I do know this song. I've heard the song before. But yeah, I go for tone first, then I worry about tuning later, as far as working on them, because if your tone's really good, you're resonating the horn, which means that you're probably much closer to being in tune than a lot of other things. So, but yeah, I just work on my tone by playing a lot of long tones, a lot of lip slurs, things like that. And it's really, to me, tone always boils down to having a clear concept in mind. You have to know what a good sound is. But yeah, I think I'm going to hop off of here. Thanks everyone for hanging out on the live stream today, and be looking for a video tomorrow. So hopefully I'll have that posted. I'm going to try to have it posted, like midday or so tomorrow. But yeah, you should all like, comment, and subscribe. I'll see all of you later. Schilke mouthpieces are good. I played a Schilke 67 on tuba for more than a decade. No doubt.